Okay, so number 35. Shh, guys. All right, number 35, it says find the amount in Carolyn's account after 8 years if she invests $5,000 at a rate of 6% each year. So we had 8, 5,000, 6%. So 8 is your t value. It's saying find the amount after 8 years, amount after time t. 5,000 is your principal amount. That's what you started with. 6% we write as 0.06, and that's our rate. And at the very end, it says compounded quarterly. So quarterly, what does that mean that I have? 4 for n, right? So your formula is amount after time t equals p times 1 plus r over n raised to the nt. That would be a good thing to put on your note card. So your amount after 8 years, you start with $5,000. You have 1 plus r is 0.06 divided by 4 raised to the 4 times 8. I would probably put this 4 times 8 in parentheses. That's 4 times 8. It's kind of hard to see. Times 8. All right, and then I'd put it all in all at once probably. So you can do all of that all at once. So you should get 8,051.62. I would round to 2 decimal places because this is money. All right, other questions? 67. Okay, you have a series notation, so sigma. Okay, let's see what's happening in this. Like when I plug in 0, I'd have 4 times negative 1/4 to the 0. The next one would be 4 times negative 1/4 to the 1. The next one's 4 times negative 1/4 squared. The pattern is that each time you're multiplying by one more of those negative 1/4. Okay, so basically this one ends up being 4, right? Because the negative 1/4 to the 0, we have to do our, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, parentheses, exponents, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So we do our exponents before we multiply. So something to the 0 is 1 times 4 gives me 4, plus negative 1/4 to the 1 is negative 1/4 times 4 is negative 1. The next one is negative 1/4 squared. Ends up being 1 over 16 times 4 gives me 1/4. Okay, so basically each time you are multiplying by another negative 1/4. That was what this was. That's our r. So my r is negative 1/4. It's a geometric sequence, right? We're always or we're always multiplying by a common ratio. Okay, so an infinite geometric sequence has this equation. The sum is equal to a over 1 minus r. Sorry, a1. a1 over 1 minus r. So a1 is the first term, which is our 4 value right here, over 1 minus, we said r was negative 1/4. So we have 4 divided by 1 plus 1/4 is 5/4. Whoops. So 4 divided by 5/4 is 4 times 4/5. So you get 16 over 5. So your answer is 16 over 5, or you could have 3.2. Okay. Others? Yeah, Sam? Sam? Number 43. Bye-bye. Okay, number 43, so I have x plus 1 over x squared minus 1 over x minus 1. Okay, this is called a complex fraction. Not because it has complex answers like I or anything, but because it looks complex when you first look at it. It looks hard. Okay, so we rewrite so that we have a division sign, like the obelisk sign. So divided by x over x minus 1. But we know that if we have division, that's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Right? Dividing by 2 is the same as multiplying by 1/2. So times x minus 1 over x. So I flipped the second fraction. I then factor. So my x squared minus 1 factors into x plus 1 times x minus 1. I have x plus 1 on top. I have x minus 1 on top. I have x on bottom. So anything that's on the top, I mean, you'd multiply all the things on top together, all the things on the bottom together. But anything on top cancels with anything on bottom. So if I have x plus 1 on top and on bottom, they cancel. I have x minus 1 on top and on bottom. So I'm left with an x. Is my answer just x? No, it's 1 over x, right? Because you would have a 1 on top as a placeholder. Okay, that's one that people always miss on the study guide. There's the x. Okay, other questions? $32? $42? Okay, now this one's kind of confusing because a lot of people try to clear the fractions. So a lot of people are like, oh, I'm going to multiply by my least common denominator, and I'm just going to get rid of the fractions completely. Okay, you can only do that when you have an equation. So if I had an equal sign, you can do that. If I have fractions, like if I have 1/2 plus 5/6, how do I combine those fractions? Yeah, you get common denominators. So the first one you'd multiply by 3 over 3, which is not changing the number, it's just 3/6 now, which is 1/2. You multiply by 1, right? So we get 3/6 plus 5/6. So we'd get 8/6, and then on this one we could reduce to 4/3. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. We just have two fractions that we need to combine together. So we can't get rid of the denominator. We just need for the denominators to be the same. So my denominator is x squared minus 4. So that's x plus 2 times x minus 2. All right, so what is this one missing then? X minus 2. So we need to do 3 over x plus 2 times x minus 2 over x minus 2 plus 5 over, that denominator is x plus 2 times x minus 2. Or you could write x squared minus 4, it doesn't matter. So when I multiply the top, I get 3x minus 6. I'm thinking of that x minus 2 in parentheses. Then I have plus 5 all over the common denominator, x squared minus 4. So your answer should be 3x minus 1 over x squared minus 4. Now you do always want to check that, like the 8/6, remember 8/6 could reduce. If you had like x plus 2 over x squared minus 4, that reduces as well. X plus 2 over x squared minus 4 would factor, like x plus 2s would go away. So you'd have 1 over x minus 2. Okay, so you always want to check to see if anything's going to cancel, but in this case it won't. Okay, other questions? You guys think? 73? Really said 73? Okay, 73, it says number of ways you can make a 6-digit code using only odd numbers for the first 3 digits. So odd numbers. And then even numbers for the last 3 digits. And I gave you a hint. I said 0 is an even number. Digits can be repeated. Okay, so odd numbers I would have 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Even numbers for digits I could have 0, 2, 4, 6, and 8. Okay, since you can repeat digits, that means if I have 5 choices for the first slot. So let's say I pick 7, the number 7. I can still pick 7 on the next slot, so I still have 5 choices for the next one. And 5 choices for the next one. Now for the even numbers, I have 5 numbers, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. So I have 5 numbers to select from, so let's say I choose the number 4. Well, you can repeat digits, I told you. So if you can repeat it, that means you still have 4. It's not like it's been removed from the hat. So we have 5 and 5. So 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 is 5 to the 6th, which is, yep, thank you. So 15,625. Yep.
What about if you could like repeat some numbers? What would you do?
If you can repeat some of them?
Yeah, not all of them, but some.
Like if you could repeat the even numbers. So let's say we made the question the same, but you couldn't repeat odds. Oh no, wait.
Like you could repeat like 4s and 8, like 4s and 7s, but you can't repeat any of them. What would you do?
We wouldn't do one like that. You'd have to just write out all. I'd probably use the complement in a case like that.
Okay.
Yeah, but let's say you couldn't repeat even numbers. If you couldn't repeat even numbers, then you'd have 5, then 4, then 3, right? Because when you select an even number, it's out of the list. I could give you one like that, yeah. All right, other questions? Yeah? What you got, Eric? 54. Okay, this is a tricky one. All right, it says the fourth term of a sequence is 108, and the sixth term is 972. Find the first term. All right, I gave you that the sequence was geometric in the instructions. So geometric means you're always multiplying by what we call a common ratio. So if I start with the fourth term, I'm going to multiply by a common ratio each time. Dominic's getting people to go into the bathroom with him. I don't understand that. A6. All right, so if our number is 108, and I'm going to 972, I'm going to multiply by a common ratio twice. Do we need to pause?
Yeah.
So anyway, so on this one we have a geometric sequence. So we have a common ratio that we're always multiplying by. All right, so you could probably pretty quickly figure out what you're multiplying by just by guess and check method. But we actually have an equation. So our equation says that if I start with, let's say, the fourth term, since I have the fourth term, and I want to go to the sixth term, I need to multiply by r twice to get there. So we do r squared. So a4 times r squared equals a6. So my sixth term is 972. My fourth term was 108. If I divide by 108, I get 9. So when I take the square root of both sides, you get r equals plus or minus 3. So basically the number in between them, the fifth term, could have been 324 or negative 324. So it's a tricky one. All right, we are asked to find the first term. So if I want the first term, A1, let's say I want to go to the fourth term from the first term. How many times do I multiply by the common ratio? 3. So we do r cubed. All right, A1 is the thing we don't know. R could be plus or minus 3 cubed. And then A4 is one that we know. It's 108. So we get 108 equals A1, and then plus or minus 3 to the third would be plus or minus 27. If that had been like to the fourth, let's say I was going to the fifth term was what I knew, then when you do r to the fourth, it would be positive anyway, right? So we wouldn't have a plus or minus. Okay, now divide by plus or minus 27. So you get A1 is equal to plus or minus 4. So the first term could be 4 or negative 4. So basically what's happening if you went backwards, like you could always divide by 3, divide by 3, divide by 3 to get back. Basically every odd, so A5, A3, A1, could be 2 answers. You could have plus or minus for each odd term. It's tricky.
Did you say you're doing 54? That's 60.
This is 64. Yeah, sorry, did I do the wrong one? This is 64. I was wondering why you guys said we did 54. I was like, I don't remember doing this one.
Yeah, Yeah, you did.
Can we do 65 though?
65. All right, it says find S sub 6 for the sequence -2, 10, -50, 250, etc. Okay, so first of all, I notice that this sequence, each time I'm always multiplying by a -5, right? So that's my common ratio, -5. So it's a geometric sequence. So when you see S6, that means the sum of the first 6 terms. Now this is not bad for this situation. You already have 4 numbers, so you could find the next 2 numbers and then add them together, right? Very easy. But on your test, what if I ask you S30, right? The sum of the first 30 numbers. Not so easy. Yeah, a little bit harder. I think I do ask something about the 1001st term on something, so just know that that can happen. So if I have S sub 6, your formula is A1 times 1 minus r to the n over 1 minus r. So good thing for your note card. So this is for a geometric finite sequence. So my first term is -2. I have 1 minus, my r is -5, so I'm going to raise it to the 6 over 1 minus a -5. That would be my formula. So you have -2.
How you know it was 6? That's a number.
Yeah, because they asked for S sub 6. So it's saying the sum of the first 6 terms, so n is 6. So we do -5 to the 6. All right, so I did the numerator and divided by 6. So -2604 times -2. I think you get 5208. Is that right?
Yeah.
But like I said, in this case, it would just be easiest just to multiply by -5 and say, oh, 250 times -5 is -1250. -1250 times -5 is 6,250. And then just add these 6 numbers together. That's much easier. So you can do that. I will allow it. But if I ask for the sum of the first 30 or something like that, you probably want to do the math behind it. Okay, other questions? No, because this was positive here. So it's kind of outweighing it. I have time for like 2 more.
66.
Number 66.
The exact.
Yeah. Can't do the free answer though.
He said if no one else is going to ask, he's going to ask. So it said find the sum of the first 7 terms of 10, 5, 2.5, etc. So what's your common ratio in this case? 1/2, right? Common ratio each time you're multiplying by 1/2. So you'd have first term is 10, 1 minus your r, guys, so 7. Top. 1 minus 1/2. So you have 10. So I'm going to do 1/2 to the 7th. And then I do 1 minus that answer. And then I divide by 0.5. And then times 10. You should get, so 1.98, 4375. I don't know, Monica. I think it involves a lot of calculus for finding the sum of a sequence. I don't know. All right. Should be positive. But you're finding the sum of all these numbers. So it should at least be 17.5, right? Because the sum of the first 3 is. All right, one last question. Sam?
Did you do 95 yet or 96?
I think I did. Did I? Nope, I haven't. Okay, 95. So the first thing you need to recognize is it a circle, an ellipse, or a hyperbola? Those are the three that we had. These are called conic sections. All right, so this is an ellipse because you have a plus in between, and the numbers on the bottom are different. Okay, so the center of the ellipse, it's always in the form x minus h squared plus y minus k squared. They have denominators. H is 1. K is 0. You don't have like y minus a number, so it's 0. So your center is 1, 0. A and B, the way I showed you in class is I just said always make this one A. Technically for an ellipse it should be the bigger value. So instead of having 2 squared and A is 2, and 3 squared and B is 3, technically A should be 3 and B should be 2. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to keep you off of that. I just want to make sure you draw it correctly.
Wait, so because the x comes first, which is vertical, which are the braces, which are the braces?
Okay, so the question is, the x comes first, so does that mean that the x is like, it's longer along the x, so it's like a long ellipse like this?
No, it's a hyperbola.
Yeah, that's for the hyperbola, where it matters which one comes first. Because for an ellipse, it doesn't matter which one comes first, because you have plus. Does that make sense? So if you switch them around, it's still the same equation. But with a hyperbola, if you have minus in between, it does matter which one's first. Okay, so basically, go to your center, 1, 0. Draw your point. And then x, so under the x we have 4, which is 2 squared. Shh, guys. So that means I'm going to move right and left 2. Because it's under the x.
That's one of my questions. You know which one goes horizontal, which one goes vertical.
It's what it's underneath. So if you had the 2, like the 2 squared was underneath the x, it means it goes right and left. X values go right and left, right? Y values go up and down. All right, so from that center, I'm going to go right and left 2. And I'm going to go up and down 3. Okay. When you do that, you now can draw on the ellipse, which is like that. So your picture should look something like that. It's a little off. All right, I might have time for one more.
97.
97?
That's
All right, 97. So you have x minus 2 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 9. Guys, I'm being nice doing these problems. Don't talk. All right, center of the circle, what is it? 2, negative 3. Radius, 3, because this is always r squared. So you might write the equation of a circle on your cheat sheet, right? So x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. The center is hk. The radius is 3. You can write, or not 3, your radius is r. All right, so in this one we have 2, negative 3. Your radius is 3, so go up 3, right 3, left 3, down 3. Draw your circle on. That's it. Yeah, basically, this could be in kind of the ellipse form. Like, what if this was equal to 1 and both these were divided by 9? Isn't that the same equation? Yeah. So that could be in the ellipse form, so that you see you go up 3, right 3, down 3, left 3. So, alrighty, so this is due tomorrow in class. Last semester, some of you guys waited till the last second and didn't finish it, and it really hurt your grade, right?